the most difficult aspect of growth is not getting up by 5 a.m., doing every single discipline, submitting yourself to the consecration demands associated with the materialization of that goals. It's none of that. What I'm about to share is very important. So listen very carefully because for majority, you've asked the question, I've done every single thing, I've submitted myself to every discipline associated with the materialization of this goal. Yet, it looks as though the universe is unconscious to all the effort I put. By the reason of this discourse, you would learn why it appears as though your efforts are coming to an end. You would learn the reason why you feel ready, yet the physical results that necessitates for your empowerment is nowhere to be found. Those are the kind of people I'm talking to. If you still fall into the category of being motivated, breaking your promise to yourself, not being motivated, then this video is not for you. I'm talking to that top 1 percentile who has given every single thing in order for the actualization of what he wants, and yet he sees little to no result. That's the kind of person I'm speaking. That there's something you're missing, that there's something you're going to learn at the end of this discourse that moves you from point A to point B. Two things are involved in this scenario. The first is the ability to die to your former self. The ability to die to your former self. That's number one. Usually, a goal necessitates improvement upon your previous self. Unfortunately, as intelligent individuals, we get stuck in this action-oriented behavior. We get stuck in chasing externalities. So for instance, you're a skinny guy, you want to go to the gym in order to improve your appearance. Perhaps the goal is to become more presentable to the opposite sex. Unfortunately, what you discover very quickly is even after attaining the muscles, even after gaining the superior external appearance, you're still skinny in your mind. So when you see X quality of woman, you instantly discourage yourself. This person is way out of my league, although the impeding factor has already been taken away. This is why when you finally get that lady whom you believe is out of your league, which is asinine by the way, you should never ever believe what some bullshit lady is out of your league. The more you think like that, the more you're going to mess up when you speak to her, the more you're going to put her on a pedestal. And if there's anything you've learned from history, anytime you put someone on a pedestal, let alone a woman, you're going to lose him or her. So you see, every single thing is cause and effect. So when that unworthy individual finally gets this lady, do you think no matter how she treats him, he's ever going to leave? Exactly. But that's not the nucleus of this discourse. The nucleus is your ability to die to your previous self, your ability to come to the consciousness you have achieved this goal, your ability to give yourself expression. All these first points is trying to summarize. You feel very unworthy of your desires. You feel very unworthy of your desires. You discredit your efforts masqueraded as striving for more. Unfortunately, that is a very good mindset. In fact, you are a testimony of what the Apostle Paul said. I forget or I count not myself to have apprehended. But this one thing I do, forgetting the things which are behind. He didn't say forgetting good things or bad things. He said forgetting the things which are behind, and I press forward. That's a very good philosophy. But when you forget the things which are behind, I want you to also realize that there were things or there are things behind, there are things you have achieved. That's why you see very overachieved individuals laced with all shades of inferiority complex. That's why you see people today shielding themselves with various externalities, the Mercedes, the latest device, and luxury. You truly believe they are this godlike figure, whereas the opposite is usually the case. We have tons of influencers, tons of gurus who chat either with an underage or a red pill guy texting an underage lady or doing something counter to their beliefs. It's not necessarily because they're a fake, because they've not died to their self. They've not died to their self. You need to feel worthy of what it is you desire. I've said it countless times. Reading one more book, listening to one more podcast, learning or attending one more investment seminar, attending one more summit, going to one more book review club isn't going to cut it, isn't going to make no difference. Even Solomon said, too much study is a heaviness to the soul. Knowledge is infinite. There are finite intellectual discourse you can fuse together for your desires to be manifested. But the point, the one I want to buttress on is number two. Number two is your ability not to conform to the previous version of you when you meet old friends. Unfortunately, this applies to me. When I left my family, I was this dumbass boy, very broke, very poor, all shades of negativity. Now coming to a point where I have millions, when I have millions, and every single person still perceives me through that old lens. Ah, you walk and your posture is bad or you're arrogant. So all of this change, this new version of myself is meeting resistance. Unfortunately, majority don't have the confidence to stand their ground because standing their ground most times often lead to isolation, often lead to resentment, often lead to animosity. The people who knew you are constantly handing you the previous costume. They are constantly trying to tell you, oh, you used to do this previously. Well, I changed. Ah, you used to do this. Come, let's do this. Come, let's do that. And you said, no, things have changed. I'm a very busy man. I have money to make. There are things to do. I'm very busy. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I refuse to spend my human consciousness partying, going out, wasting time. And anybody who has attained or who is trying to attain a significant level of success will concede this point. Once you get to a level of change, every single person, including yourself, is as though when you want to exhibit a character trait, the programming says stop. A very soft-spoken individual I was, very somewhat the opposite of brave. I would speak softly, ask for permission to do stuff. Unfortunately, when I realized that that mindset is limiting me. That mindset of seeking approval, that mindset of trying to get cheerleaders and gather every single person to support me or explain my plan. So whenever I'm going crazy, you understand what I'm doing. That kind of mindset will not just leave me defeated, but it will leave me dependent. These are traits devoid of a leader. These are traits leaders do not sustain. These are traits innovators do not sustain. You think Steve Jobs gave a shit when someone told him the iPhone could not be built? You think Ferruccio Lamborghini give the shit when his engineers told him that engine could never be built? In fact, even worse, they could never meet the 6 month deadline. Do you think Ferrari gave a shit when he was creating the construction car? Do you think those individuals give a shit about the opinions of others? In fact, Pagani, the car Pagani originated from Lamborghini. He wanted to build a car with carbon fibers. Lamborghini refused. Guess what? That was the evolution of Pagani. As inspired and as intentional as you believe yourself to be, do not just feel inspired for the next 5 minutes. I want you to put system in place. Have a network, or let alone, or better still, be yourself, be alone, be your own network. Seek out people online. Yes, your discussion might be more of a monologue. That's what I did when I had no one, when I was in the lonely chapter. Yes, you do not fit into your old group of friends, but you're not yet developed to interact with the new group of friends. That messy middle, the best thing you can do is not to revert. The best thing you can do is to seek out people you enjoy their content, you are inspired by their achievements, listen to them, sit on their content, absorb, gain as much wisdom, pay reverence to every single utterance, and you'll be fine. So disregard this idea. Unfortunately, society is fond of bullying. Society is fond of subjugating individuals who attempts to rise. And I've said it previously, countless times in my various videos, that one of the things humans do is because this idea of someone you have proximity with being successful is something you fight. It's your natural tendency to despise it. Unconsciously, you do every single thing to sabotage that individual's success. Now, this is your default. This is your default. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, but it's your default. So the best thing you can do in that situation is to consciously recalibrate your mind. It takes effort to be happy for someone else. It takes effort to not be envious. It takes effort to have good qualities. Those are conscious and deliberate traits that were developed. So your natural default is envy. Your natural default is hate. So once those characteristics manifest, it's not necessarily because you're a bad person. Unfortunately, and I've said it, that this world is cohabitated on wickedness. Wickedness is how the earth functions. Never in your life do you walk past a well manicured garden and go, it probably trimmed itself. It was a conscious and deliberate effort to make it look good. Conversely, if you walk past a garden full of weeds, exactly, it wasn't deliberate. In fact, that's the natural default of things. As good as anything is, if not paid attention to, it will deteriorate. A $5,000, $10,000 steak is tasty because it was well cooked. They paid deliberate attention, not just in the cooking process, but in the serving process, the serving, the atmosphere. It was a concerted effort to make you happy, to aggrandize your status, to make you look good in front of your peers. If you take that $10,000 steak unattended to, what happens after 2 weeks? Maggots. It deteriorates. So nothing good is come on this earth without conscious and deliberate effort. That's your default. So do not feel bad or feel like a bad person. Here you have the liberty to beat yourself up is if you consciously remain in that negative decline. My friend, you're not just harming people, but you're harming yourself in the long run. I've said it countless times. Decisions have consequences. The consequences of your decisions have already been pre-programmed. If you continue on that trajectory, it's only a matter of time before you look around and there is nobody aside negative people, aside people who sustain the same beliefs as you. In that environment, it is impossible for you to do something good. You're surrounded with people who tear other people down. A group you heard, if you try to do something good yourself, guess what happens? Exactly. Your disciples will tear you down as avidly as they once brought you up. They will tear you down. To understand this perfectly, learn to die first. Learn to die to yourself. Secondly, learn not to conform to your previous self in order to make your previous friends, your previous or people from your past life comfortable. Unfortunately, majority are terrified. Every single one of you, I guarantee that 90 to 95% of you have come across a concept of manifestation, either watched an extensive hour video on Joe Dispenza, Bob Proctor, or any of these manifestation gurus, or once in a while you've read a book surrounding manifestation. You know exactly the rudiments of manifestation, yet you're terrified to practice the remaining 1% of the principles. You've fallen asleep in the state. You've done every single thing. You've affirmed. Yet, there's still one thing you are yet to do. Master, we have toiled all night. Nevertheless, I'm here to tell you, nevertheless, that 1% is choosing your current situation with your desire. It is very difficult because majority of people, they are terrified to speak from that consciousness. They are terrified of what their neighbors, their peers, their family who truly know their situation would say. And this ties back to my point of negativity and how that's the default. So for instance, if you come from a poor background and you try to speak like a millionaire, yeah, I'll get that McLaren soon. At the back of your mind, you're waiting for a negative response from your peers or the sarcastic look. Even if they pretend to support you, the energy is just wrong. Not we as humans, you humans function on energy. If you walk into a room where you're not welcome, you would feel it, you would know. And after 5 minutes, hello friends, I need to excuse myself, and you would bounce because the atmosphere is incongruent with the kind of mask they put on. You know all of this. The one thing is to be confident, to believe, to fuse your consciousness with that of the person you want to become. And do not let sentiment, peers, or anybody drag you down. My friend, you've given every single thing to this goal. You've lost sleep, you've lost friends, you've sacrificed, you've affirmed, You've done every single thing there is to do. You are undeniable. It's nothing. There's nothing left. There's no amount of book. There's no one more podcast. There's no one more thing to do in order for you to achieve success. Aside this, fuse your consciousness with that of the future and do not waver. Adopt a regal pose. Stand unfazed and you'll be fine. I still want to talk more on this subject. I want to speak more. I want to lay emphasis on this last point because I believe that's where most people err. In fact, recording this video, like I said, dumb, stupid, inarticulate, every single person is surprised. Occasionally, you see my eye tilts towards the right side because my family will come and peep to hear this level of wisdom, who is expounding this exegesis in such an unparalleled manner. Fanny, how is it possible? It's the same resistance Saul was met with when he converted or after his conversion. For those of you who aren't Bible students, let alone Christians, Saul was a Jew who persecuted the Christians. He sought so many legality. He sought so many people in power in order to give him the legal right to persecute Christians. So it wasn't like an uncalled genocide. There was some trumped up charge. There was some stupid argument that gave him the legal right to persecute the Christians. On his way to Damascus, carrying the seal to persecute Christians there, he fell down and God appeared to him, smote his eyes, and that became the conversion process for him. His name was changed from Saul to Paul. Preaching the gospel now in the church, every single person, they were met with tons of resistance. It's the same thing we see in modern society when those prostitutes convert to Christianity or Islam. It is very difficult to accept them. Although we know their line, although we know that the cross is something they can wave around and they believe it washes their sin or expunge all the content, thousands of hours they've done online. Whether they are genuine or not, of course we know they are not, is debatable. But it is met with a lot of resistance. It's the same thing with you. Once you stand up, decide to carry yourself as a millionaire, decide to do certain things, decide to stop engaging in certain conversations, you will be met with scorn, you will be met with ridicule. Do not take it otherwise. Most of you go back to your room and cry your eyes out and conform. In fact, see it as an indicator you're on the right path. If people are cheering for you, it means you're just like them, which is not where you want to be. But they dislike you, it's an indicator of success. You're on the right path. People drag you down to the second class street. As always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one. Before we go, I've taught you how to comment. The first comment should be what you learned. Your second comment should be a video or problem, what you would like to see in the future. And if you get the most likes on that subject, you will be on my thumbnail, and that's the next video, that's the next subject I'll talk about. Well, if I knew, why go through all those strengths? You're speaking or you have the chance to interact with a very intelligent mind that will not give you a response distilled from the internet, laced with personal anecdotes. I want you to understand you're attacking it from a very unique standpoint. It's a very unique answer you would receive. Unfortunately, the internet is fond of one person brings one response or an answer and every single person pounds on it, trying to create as much thread and example. But every single thing, every single video revolves around that one point. Take depression for instance. Their solution is to take action. Their solution is to go to the gym, read 30 pages a day. Unfortunately, if you read 30 pages a day, you come to the conclusion one day that I do not want to read these 30 pages. Why am I reading 30 pages a day? Yes, it was fun at first, but this is bullshit. You go to the gym and after attaining the big physiques and muscles, yes, you'll be confident for a while, but at the end of the day, you become a depressed, muscular man. Your latter state is worse than the previous one. How would I solve the problem of depression? There are various causes of depression. This sentence is already new information because majority of people foolishly believe that depression is a cause, that depression is some disease from the sky, smite them, and they can't cure it without popping a pill. My friend, I'm here to share I can never get depressed. I'm immune to depression. Depression is an effect. There are various causes. One can be identity crisis. Identity crisis, you don't know who you are. Everybody looks like they have it figured out. You plunge into depression. Another aspect can be stagnation, and I've experienced this in my life. Like I said, I'm not immune to depression. I already know the cause of that temporal sadness. Every single person is making progress. Even this stuff you have, this business, it looks as though it's not yielding fruit. And while your friends are going on vacation, the latest device, hot women, new car, you're not making progress. Depression can creep in. The third can be purpose, lack of purpose. There's nothing to get out of bed for. There's nothing to aspire for. You humans, or every single person, in fact, even when God came as Jesus, as a man, he had a purpose. So humans, gods, spirits, they are all purposeful beings. They have an agenda. If an angel descends from the sky, there's an agenda, there's a purpose, there's a reason. In fact, if you see some guy move from point A to point B for over an hour, you will take cognizant notice. My friend, are you lost? Because that sight in and of itself is an anomaly. Purpose, purpose, purpose. Lack of purpose can lead to depression. In fact, the answer to that question is twofold because lack of purpose can make you derive that sense of belonging from a negative outlet. That's why people still sign up for terrorist groups. Terrorists, would they kill you? Yes. Would they destroy? Yes. Would you detonate bomb strapped to your chest? Yes. Now, as depressed as you are, I do not believe you want to take that chance going down like that. And if that's a belief you have, please make sure you put an asterisk to your comment, and it signals the urgency of your matter. Please do not commit suicide. There's a lot I can tell you. Yes, I'm not going to promise you it will be easy, but it is worth dying for. If you've gotten to a point where you see death as gain, then it's better you die doing something good. I remember when my business imploded and every single thing, every source of income, everything was down. The chips were down. And I got on my knees with tears in my eyes. And I said, you have to kill me than for me to give up. I would rather be dead than for me to give up. Next month, millions, millions of dollars, literally. So friends, let's end it here. As always, my friend, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you well in the next one.